Hi and welcome to this Reckon APS Practice Management Fee Approvals course. Today in our agenda, we will look at what is fee approvals within Reckon APS Practice Management. What additional steps does fee approvals bring to the fee process? And we'll provide the step-by-step guide on how fee approvals work. Terminology. We understand that more than one person has input to a fee before it is sent out to a client. In order to support your business processes, fee approvals can be enabled to help transition your processes electronically and store it inside the fee batch. Your practice can set up as many processes to cater for the various steps for each fee type. Hopefully this should remove the need for paper and the amount of physical paper and fee draft reports that need to get printed, as everything is inside the fee itself. Let's now take a look at what's involved with the fee approval process when it's enabled. So let's take a look at what electronic fee approvals looks like when enabled on your database. When you go to create a fee, you'll notice that the same process occurs in your general, your options, but you'll have a new tab called approval. In this tab, you will need to select a fee path. You will only be able to select fee paths that you are a member of the first step. You may have editing rights to change who it is that is going to receive the information. And in this case, you may change this so that you receive the information back. We're logged in as Senior 1. We're going to draft the fee. We're sending it off to Manager 1 to have a look at, and Partner 1 will approve it and post it. Finally, it'll come back to me as Senior 1 to print it out and put it in the final information pack. Once you've selected your path, you select Next. You go through and create your fee as you would normally process it. We'll do that quickly here. Once you've finished your fee, go down here to the fee route page. For a single fee, you can then confirm that you did have the right people going to the next step. Once you're ready to move it to the next step, simply right-click on your current step and promote it to the next step by right-clicking. You'll then be prompted, do you wish to add a note? Yes or no? Select OK. If you've made a note, you'll see those in blue. When you click on that, they're shown at the bottom of your screen. That completes a single fee. Some important changes have happened in your work list. If we look just at your invoice work list, you'll notice now that this single fee is shown twice in your work list. That's because fee approvals have introduced new concepts called active fees, pending fees, promoted fees, or all fees. Because the work list needs to be reordered, when you turned on fee approvals, we suggest that all users go to the View button in the Debtors Invoice work list and select Recommended Approval Layout. That will put in new columns that are now available in the approvals environment. Once that has been done, we will then suggest that you save that and set it to your default layout. The concept here is that I have a pending step for a person family trust. I can see that my grouping has done it by pending steps. Sorry, my grouping has done it by fee steps. So there's three types of fee steps. Active ones, which means I'm the current user and I'm at the current step, so I can actively edit the fee. Pending means I'm a member of a step that I'm waiting to get back to me or get to me. And promoted means that I've created something. My step was the prepare draft and I promoted it to review. And it's also pending me because the current step's in review, but I'm also responsible to print and distribute it. So if you don't have that grouping turned on in your recommended approval layout, you will see duplicates of the same name invoice, and it may not make sense because the additional buttons are not enabled. If you only want to see a certain type of step, you can use the blue little buttons up here on your Invoice Worklist toolbar to collapse and hide them all. Let's go and create another fee. This time, using the multiple fees options, I've created a batch. The first fee that we're creating in the batch will prompt me for the approval path process for this batch. You have the choice to use the same paths that we saw before, and you have the choice to use this as a default for the batch. Depending on how you created the batch, you might be doing lots of different fees for different processes, so you would not check that. If, however, you use the same selection criteria, if your batch extraction, then you would use the same process, then you would default that. You go through and process your batch as you need to. If we now go back to our work list down the bottom, we can now see we have active fees. The Edit By section for Senior 1 means that I have left it in edit mode. It means that only I have got the lock on that whilst I've left it in edit mode. If someone else is trying to view a fee and they've got an edit by somebody else, your system administrator can clear that if you're unable to contact the person. The work list, you can also right click and promote fees to the next stage. You can also demote where necessary. If you don't see actions, it means that you are not the current user. So you cannot promote and demote things when you're not the current user unless you are the full system administrator and you have access to do this through Joe Security. So in summary, your work list, very important to turn on the recommended approval layout. That will help guide you to the fees that you're doing. Finally, if you are using batches, you can go into your multiple debtor batch that you've created. If you had turned on the tick to default the fee process for the whole batch, you'll find in your action menu that you can clear the default process. So that'll allow you to reset that, and it will prompt you for each fee that you're raising. It'll continue to do that until you've ticked the box to default it for the batch again. So our learning outcomes today. Your system administrator will create the right fee approval processes and allocate you access that fits your procedures. If you think you need access to something that you don't have, then contact your system administrator. You are required to complete the fee route step when approvals are enabled. This is done either on the fee route page for each fee or from the work list. It is recommended that you save your invoice work list as per the recommended layout and save that as your default. This will enable you to see fees based on the step you are assigned to. Those steps are grouped by active steps, promoted, and pending. You can only promote and demote fee paths that you are the active user on. System administrators can override that with the right security model. On behalf of the Reckon Training Academy, thank you for your time. If you have further questions, refer to your workbook or the information on your screen.